here's a question for you. Is marriage overrated?
Why aren't people getting married anymore?
A new Pew Research poll found that 2 in 5 young adults think marriage is an outdated tradition.
Marriage rates are at their lowest right now.
Is marriage really even worth it?
More than half of marriages end in divorce.
If you get married, you have to be stuck with this person for the rest of your life, right? That's why you get married. So that's why it's declining. Why would you get married if you want to have just one partner when you can have multiple?
Marriage is stupid.
Welcome to the Married AF podcast, the self-proclaimed greatest marriage and relationship podcast in the world. We are your hosts, Matthew and Monica Powers, back. How you doing, baby?
Why do you say that? We're back?
Because we're back. We've done this before, and we're here again. So therefore, we are back. Unless someone's listening for the very first time, then welcome for the first timer who has never heard of us or listened to us before. But we thank you for being here. Hopefully, you find some value and comedy and laughter and all that fun stuff out of all of this. I got one for you today that you're going to love. I've already kind of told you a little bit about what it is.
I just know that I'm listening to a clip.
You're listening to a clip, and we'll get to it whenever we get a little closer to it. Okay. But thank you to everyone who's listening, who's watching, who does all of the things. We love you, and we are thankful for it. Two things real quick before we jump in, because there's a whole lot to get to today, and we don't want to run like an hour and a half. We're trying to keep it a clean 30 minutes and get up on out of here.
All right.
First, little Red Sox talk. Red Sox stink. They're depressing. Enough of the Red Sox talk. Gen Z Bible time. I can't talk about them. They make me so sad. We're in Acts chapter 16. And this is where Paul and Silas are just cruising, doing their thing. They cast out the demon from the girl. They get thrown in jail. It's where you're praying middle of the night. You know, the earthquake. We'll start in verse 18. This is the girl. She kept at it for days, and Paul was getting ticked off. He turned to the spirit and was like, yo, in the name of Jesus Christ, get out of her. And the spirit bounced immediately. When her bosses saw that their money-making scheme went down the drain, they grabbed Paul and Silas and dragged them to the marketplace, straight to the rulers. They were like, these Jews are causing so much trouble in our city, man. They accused them of teaching customs that were against Roman law, which we, as Romans, could not accept or follow. The crowd got all worked up, and the rulers got pissed off, tore their clothes, and ordered them to be beaten. They whipped the crap out of Paul and Silas, then tossed them into the prison, commanding the jailer to keep them locked up tight. The jailer followed orders, shoved them into the inner prison, and secured their feet in stocks. It was midnight. And Paul,
make sure you get those socks.
Stocks, not socks.
Okay, I thought you said socks.
Yeah, socks are important. No, what is this, Mr. Deeds? Is that who the jailer is? Sneaky. It was midnight, and Paul and Silas were praying and jamming out to God, singing praises. The other prisoners were listening, and suddenly a massive earthquake hit, shaking the whole prison to its core. All the doors flew open and everyone's shackles fell off. The jailer woke up and saw the open doors, freaked out, and pulled out a sword, thinking the prisoners had escaped, and he was ready to off himself. But Paul shouted at him, hold up, don't do anything crazy. We are all still here. The jailer called out for a light, rushed in, trembling like crazy, and fell down before Paul and Silas. He brought them out and asked, yo, sirs, what do I gotta do to be saved? That's a good one. Them socks, man. You got to watch out for them socks. What do you think? Pretty dead on.
Yeah, it was really
relatively good. They whipped the crap out of Paul, and the jailer was ready to off himself right then.
You
right
had to
there.
go there again.
Ready to go. I could feel your laughter. I wasn't even looking at you, but I could feel your laughter coming at me.
I was excited that the Bible said pissed.
It did say pissed. And whipped the crap out of. Which is always great. So let's get into today. There's this idea, and we've touched on it occasionally, every now and again, but this whole idea of men and women being equal, and that we are the same, and we know we are not the same. That's what makes men and women awesome in their own right, is because we're not the same. But just there's been more of this idea coming around that men really aren't needed anymore. That women can do everything a man can do. And we've been hard on this stance that there are things that men are far better at than women, and there are things women are far better at than men. I mean, when God created Adam, what did he say?
It's not good.
You're straight up, like, not good. Like, just can't have man roaming around doing his own thing, because men can be dumb sometimes, and we can do dumb things sometimes. And he made Eve the helper. But there's this idea going around that men are useless and no longer needed. So I've got a clip that I'm going to play. It's a little longer than I would like, but we need the whole clip to be able to fully grasp what's going on. And then I'm going to really kind of go through a breakdown of what this whole idea of men are useless and are not needed could perhaps really look like. So bear with me for just a second.
So you're saying I have to be quiet?
You're going to have to be quiet. You're going to have to hold in everything that's going on. You can get some paper. You can take some notes. That's perfectly fine. But this clip is from everyone's favorite show, daytime television, The View.
Oh, Jesus.
It's 4 minutes long, but you need it to be able to grasp the entire thing. So go ahead and listen to this.
Do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives, only one. But when men were asked a similar question, do we need women, most of them said yes. So why do you think that is?
Because men are useless. I mean, and by the way, I want to differentiate between straight men and gay men, because I think I would die without gay men. Nobody can gossip like gay men. Nobody can help you accessorize like gay men. Nobody can help you keep you from doing harm to yourself like gay men. But with the exception of somebody like Steve, I think Steve is very self-sufficient.
That's Joy's husband.
But like my husband, it takes a village of women to make sure that he's not emaciated, starving, and living in his own filth. He can, you know.
Yeah.
But you guys, I feel you guys are married to people that are more.
I have Handy Manny at home. You know, he fixes everything. When things go bump in the night, he's the one that goes downstairs. When there's a bug to be exterminated, he does the extermination.
Nope.
When there is something to be fixed, he fixes it. He throws out the trash and he throws out the recyclables. I enjoy all the man stuff.
So wait a second. Listen, I know what you're going to say, but wait. She's really talking about a servant. Let's face it. No, it's a handyman she's talking about.
No, it's a handy manny.
Oh, it's a handyman with benefits.
We do not have.
Well, but the things that you're describing, you could pay somebody to do that. We're not talking about that. What about the inner life of a man? That's what this is about.
I need my man 3 to 4 times a week. And
good for you guys.
And then the rest of the time I need a wife. Because I've always said
Everyone needs a wife.
No, I teased Vicky, my producer, in the morning. I was like, if you'd like to join Max and I, not in that way, but like Vicky and I could kill it as a household runners. Like we would be laughing, giggling, doing all the things, and Max would be so psyched I was wasting all my words somewhere else anyway. So it would be a perfect combo. And the other day, Caleb said to me, this is my youngest son, he said, Mama, I want a spare mom. And I didn't know what he meant. And he's like, he said, Genevieve has a spare mom. And I realized the parents were divorced.
A nanny?
No, divorced. An extra mom, like 2 moms. And so I asked him, because at first I was a little wounded. I was like, what am I not doing? You know, and he's like, no, I just think at bedtime, you always have to pay attention to the other kids too. And if we had a spare mom, Dad and you could, you know, then you just get to focus on me. And it was so sweet. He didn't ask for a spare dad, by the way. He asked for a spare mom.
I took this totally differently in how I prepped because broadly speaking, I feel like men have proven largely useless. Like I think in the political moment, the people who are saying what needs to be said in my party, it's all women. The very few men, with the exception of Mike Pence and a few others, are saying what they need to. But in life, like I need my husband. I don't know if I need any other men, but he is irreplaceable.
Yeah, I think so.
But that's the whole thing. We like our husbands. We just don't need men beyond that.
Wait till you're married 20 years and you'll see how replaceable
Well, the reason that women, I think that the reason women can stay married for as long as they do is because they have a lot of girlfriends.
They have a village.
They have girlfriends. Because I always have to initiate the conversations. He'll step up, but I have to
thought you were
start
going to say
them.
initiate.
I just told you guys, I have 8 girlfriends from Panama here who are girlfriends for 50 years since they were in kindergarten.
Oh, I love that.
And they were saying yesterday that they've gone through divorces, they've gone through challenges, and having that village of women has made it possible.
Well, we
for
are
them.
more collaborative than men. I think there have been studies that say that women have much closer friendship relationships than men do.
Because
I think we have to make a differentiate gay men.
No, gay men are
in their own category.
Yeah, but we're not married to gay men, okay?
Oh.
But women have conversations about their feelings. Men talk about
It's
sports,
socializing,
cars, all that stuff.
I don't know. My husband talks about his feelings with his
Maybe he's
friends.
gay. Next.
All right. Now, breathe for just a minute. Because I know you're right and you're still taking notes. You're losing your mind with this whole clip. But I've got ideas. I've got situations. I got things to walk through. But I just kind of want to get your knee-jerk initial reaction of this idea. Men are useless. We don't need them. Breathe. Take a deep breath. Initial thoughts.
The fact that millions of women watch this piece of garbage show to begin with breaks my heart. If you're getting your advice from unhappy women who are putting down their husbands on national television and they're willing to do that, that's not something you need to be watching. The only good men are gay men, apparently.
Apparently, especially according to the I don't know who the woman was who was
I
saying
don't know
that.
any of those people's names.
Joy Behar was
And the
the
only
main
reason
one.
I
And she's
know-
the one who asked the question, but that's the only one I remember.
The only reason I know her name is because of The Hangover.
Oh, yeah. See, I was thinking I know her name because of Longest Yard, the prisoner who loved Joy Behar and loved watching the View on Joy
I was
Behar.
thinking of
But that was it.
Joy Behar was one. That's all I know who that's
Alan
the
in his
only-
bag?
Yes.
Yeah.
She wears a bag, apparently.
I
I know
get it.
nothing about her.
I get it.
I don't even know what she looks like. Where to start?
Start from the top.
I would die without gay men.
This is the same woman that said her wait till you've been married 20 years. Also the same.
Okay, I have that written down
Also
too.
the same woman who said my husband needs a village of women. Otherwise,
To make sure he's not living in his filth and fed.
Yeah. Her poor husband. Like she just went on national television in front of you, right? Millions of people, and basically said, my husband's worthless without me.
There was
So
only
sad.
one person on there that talked great about her husband.
Right.
And then she's talking about how great he is and he does all the things. If something goes bump in the night, he's there. If something needs to be fixed, it's done. And people started clapping like, yeah, I need my husband. I love my husband. With not even a second to spare, they're hounding her. Oh, that's just a handyman. You don't really need him. He's just blah, 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 blah. Instant negativity.
Right.
Is this the same woman that also said her husband was irreplaceable?
No, that was a different woman. But
Okay.
the woman who said her husband was irreplaceable.
Those are the only two positive things I got out of this entire...
She said her husband's irreplaceable, but she began by saying, I think men have proven themselves by and large useless.
Well,
that was the same woman. She's good with her husband, but every other man stinks and has no purpose in being around.
Well, we've said this plenty of times. Men and women are not supposed to be friends.
That is correct.
Outside of marriage.
That is, you're not wrong.
So, if you have a brother, fine. Your father, fine. Are they forgetting about those people?
Well, not even just necessarily those people, but this whole idea.
What if you have a son?
Well, this whole idea
They're
of that,
going to be someone's husband one day.
that men are purely useless is crazy. Men are needed. Women are needed. We are both clearly needed.
Well, obviously, one of the women need an extra mommy.
She does.
I don't care what they said. It's not a stepmom. It's a nanny. Anyone on those type of shows that have those friends, everybody got a nanny because you are only friends with somebody because of the social status and money. Your son needs your attention.
He's
He
starving.
wants another mom because you have way too much going on in your life to give him the attention he needs. You'd rather be on TV bashing your husband When in reality, you just put your own self in a grave because your son needs another nanny. He didn't ask for another dad. He wants a second mom or a bonus mom.
You're right.
He should only need one mom. If you were doing your job, he wouldn't ask for another one. So women being useless, maybe that needs to be the topic of men are useless. No, women, what are you doing sitting right there talking nothing good about your husband except maybe 2 people? But you're guilty by association. So these women that are hanging out with these dummies, useless.
Well, another thing is the pure applause of, yeah, man, I'm buying a large useless. Yeah, my husband can't do anything without women around. It's just completely missing the mark.
Wait till 20 years. That'll change. That was when the woman said her husband is irreplaceable.
Irreplaceable.
But then she goes on, that same woman that said the 20 years, she also goes on to say, and I have to start the conversation.
Yep. And I've got...
And I initiate it and he'll start talking back, but...
And I got some notes. I'll get to that in just a second. So...
Men talk about nothing but sports, nothing else.
I've just slow your roll for that one. I got something for that. All right. So I went down this.
You should have gotten me.
I went down this. I tried.
My
and you
blood
said
pressure is high.
You said nope. I just want to hear it, and I want to react to it the very first time. So I went down a rabbit hole with this idea because this whole segment on The View came from a trend where people are just asking people out in the wild. Yeah, this was like a month ago.
What?
Asking people out in the wild, like, hey, do you need a man? Do you need to asking? And all the women are like, no. And that's kind of where the conversation started. That when one of the 12 said that they needed, that they did, only one of the 12 said that they needed a man. Just one of the 12. All the other ones said, no, I don't need a man whatsoever. So let's look at this in a very granular level. Let's look at it for what it's saying. Men are useless and we don't need men. So what would the world look like if that happened? I did some research. Here's kind of the idea of this men are useless thing. The first thing that we're going to see happen is there are going to be complete social and cultural shifts on what humans are supposed to be. You eliminate men from the picture completely. Women take the role of everything. Social norms are gone. Traditional families are gone. All the things that we've all known are going to completely begin to disappear. You're going to start to see labor shortages. Why? Because there's a lot of jobs in the world that we must have, that the high majority of only men are able and willing to do that job. Here's some examples of that. All fields in the engineering world are strictly men. The armed forces, police services, 87% of all policemen are men. Firefighters, 92%. The construction industry, 98% are all men. Oil workers, 99%. Mining and quarry workers, 99%. Steel workers, politicians, agriculture, pilots, forestry, mechanics, HVAC, electrical, appliances, plumbing, landscaping, computer programming, engineers. All of that is high majority men. So let's eliminate men from the world. Mm-hmm. Those jobs are things that are going to have to be taken by women. Okay, can women do some of those jobs? Absolutely they can. Take training, take a lot of work. It's not easy. It's very risky. It can be very dangerous. But women could eventually take on those jobs. Are there enough women to actually go on and take those jobs and accept those jobs and excel at those jobs to be able to make it? The answer is no. So what that's going to do is it's going to rely on humanity, which is strictly mostly women now. If we go down this idea, it's going to be mostly automated and AI generated to fill in the labor gaps, because there's going to be a huge amount of labor gaps. You know, the cars that we drive, the phones we use, the computers we use, all the things that we're used to on a day-to-day basis are going to cease to exist. You're going to see medical issues. You're going to see mental health issues. You're going to see all sorts of problems. There's going to be instability throughout the world, geopolitical instability, resource management, logistics. All of that is going to go away. This is something that's not sustainable. But let's not forget the most important part of all this. There will be a decline in population, clearly. You eliminate,
ain't nobody else coming in this world.
You eliminate men from the picture. Yes, there's going to be a decline in the population. Now, that says sperm banks, of course, would be huge. That's how women would help populate the earth, would be through sperm banks. But again,
you got to get rid of men. You got to get rid of that.
I know, but there are some built up. There's all sorts of technologies. I said something else that would have to be done.
So
is
if they
there would have to
boys, do they kill them? Are we just a women-only nation?
It would eventually, they would just eventually all begin to die off. So here's kind of what we would be looking at. This idea of cloning would have to be something that would come to fruition to be able to do that. So what we would initially look like in years 1 through 10, if we just eliminated men from the picture completely, sperm banks and IVF treatment would sustain some level of reproduction, but it's not something that is long-term sustainable. We would be looking at a decrease in population over the years,
which would also not be bad for the world, but
and some things maybe nothing would be able to be stabilized. Yes, some manufacturing would be stabilized, some engineering, mechanical processes, some of that would get stabilized, but again, it's not sustainable. So estimation, if we were to eliminate men from the planet completely, by year 50, we would have a decline in population down to about 4 billion people. There's currently about 8 billion people on Earth. At year 100, if we continue down this, even with advanced technologies, even if the cloning process were something that was able to be done and work, where women are able to reproduce and continue to populate the world without men, decreased in population, we look down to about 1.5 billion. If this continued, this idea that men are useless and men are not needed and we are just completely wasteful beings, by 300 years, we would be looking at the extinction of humanity across the world. Mm-hmm. Men are useless. Here's why this is fascinating. Here's why this is also scary. Article in April of 2024 in the Wall Street Journal. Also, this is done by the CDC, has seen declining birth rates across the world since 2007. In 2023, it reached a record low of 1.62 being the birth weight. This is 1.62.
Weight or rate?
Rate. Birth rate.
R-A-T-E.
Yes.
Okay.
The amount of births per woman is down to 1.62 as of 2023. It is estimated that for population to be sustainable, they call it the replacement rate, has to be at 2.1 to be able to sustain population for the long term. We are below that now. It was nearly 4 births per woman in the 1960s. We're down to 1.
Well, people then would have kids to help with all the load of work, and because most people were on farms.
It is. But this is why it's scary. We're below the 2.1 rate for the first time since 1970, which just was a 1-year thing, and then it climbed right back up. This is something that's been continuing to trend over the last decade or so.
Well, with abortions being
millions per year, and that's part of why this rate has gone down so much, because now this idea of abortion is used as a form of birth control.
Right. But now that's been reversed.
Yes.
And it's not supposed to be a thing unless it's like a medical emergency situation.
Correct.
Some states have completely banned it. That should increase.
It should.
Because people can't not have sex with each other.
That is true. But here's the scary part of it is, one, yes, people are still going to have sex with each other. That seems to be dwindling in research, that some people
aren't having sex?
Not as much as they used to. Why? Because we're so stuck on our phones and our entertainment and our TVs and our computers and this social life where we're not actually seeking real physical, intimate
because everybody's watching too much porn.
Well, yes, that is absolutely part of it.
Because that's going to get you where you need to be.
And this idea of artificial intelligence, where artificial intelligence, these AI humans, so to speak, are replacing real physical relationships with people. It's like iRobot.
I'm done.
All over.
I'm done.
I know. You're finished. You're done. So I say all this to say this. The View, I have such a hard time and I struggle to believe that they all truly believe that men are purely useless. I know this was more of a, hey, how can we get some attention?
Our ratings are dropping.
How can we get some ratings?
Let's say something stupid so people will watch.
Exactly. How can we get some attention our way, good or bad? But, how can we be controversial to drive eyeballs to our TV and get more clicks and more people to look at this? I have to believe that's the intent of it. But I do believe there's this underlying tone where people believe, you know what, we really don't need men anymore.
Well, Joy Behar said, blah, 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 blah. I believe it too.
And I think that's a scary thing. And again, this whole idea of the timeline and the people and extinction, we're nowhere near that. But if we really got rid of men completely, that's something that we could possibly see.
I'm not sure if they're believers.
I don't know.
I mean, everybody wants to say they believe in God.
That's true.
But what God do they believe in? What
That's
God
true.
do they pray to? And if they do believe that men are useless, do they believe God's a woman?
I have seen where there are people who, yes, they believe God.
Well, that one show we watched where she thought she was Mother God.
Yes. Well, there are people who believe one, God's a woman. There's also some who believe God is a they, them. And that whole thing, that's something I don't even.
Because they're 3 in 1?
Don't even want to think about today.
Yeah.
So the last point that I want to bring up, and it's something that you brought up too, where this, towards the end of the conversation on The View, was having to initiate the conversation. And all men can talk about are sports and cars. And I have a reason to believe why that might be the case.
Maybe that's just the men that they know.
One, maybe it's the men that they know.
How old are these people?
They're probably in their 40s to 50s, maybe. I really don't know. But I believe that the reason that
I gotta look it up now. Go ahead.
That's the only thing that they will say no, and the only things I have conversations about is, one, because men have been told, well, you're not allowed to have feelings. You can't be vulnerable. The cultural norm has been, it's just suck it up. Just get over it. Just suck it up. That's just going to be the way that it is. The reason I think more people have these conversations that with men or with their husbands or whoever that can't seem like they can get in any depth with, I think is mostly because there was a point in time where that man, whether it was with you or with someone else, did truly let the guard down, and they did truly open up, and they were truly vulnerable, and they were shouted down with it. They were told, "Oh, suck it up. You shouldn't feel that way." They had this, they let the guard down, and they let someone in on something they're going through that is deep and serious, and they really want to be able to get it out. And then somehow that was turned around and it was used against them in some way. And I think that's one of the reasons men don't want to have these in-depth conversations. I think that's why whenever you have a conversation with a guy sometimes and you really try to, hey, what's going on? How you doing? You'll just get the fine.
Women do the same thing.
They do. But I think men by and large are just like, nah, everything's fine. It's good. It's good. Because there was that one time where
they said something a little bit more in depth.
And it was somehow
taken out of context.
It was somehow twisted or used against them in a future argument or something. And when that happens, the man is going to say, never again.
You want me to tell you the ages of these people?
How old?
As of August 2023, the Joy Behar, I'm even saying her name right, is 80.
She's 80? She looks great for 80.
I don't know what she looks like. Then there's one that's 45, 51, 54, and 34. How many?
There's 5 of them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So there's one millennial.
34.
Her name, Alyssa Griffin.
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
No, I'm
either
looking
way.
at it. I'm saying this, but one is 45, so she's closer to our age, and the other about 10 years older than us.
Yep.
I feel like we relate more to the generation above us.
I could see that, yeah.
Than below us. And if that's the case, I don't know which one said was all hunky-dory about her husband or her husband was irreplaceable. And it could be the 34-year-old. I don't know. If that's the case, I feel like I would be happy to be a millennial than these old pissed off women who are mad because their husbands are useless. No wonder. 80 years old. Her husband's still alive?
Well, I don't even necessarily think that. I think their minds have been twisted that they don't need a man. And like I said before, we need each other. You know, that's the reason God created Eve, was we're meant for relationship. We're not meant to do it alone. We can think that we're all big and bad and independent. We don't need anybody. We don't need to lean on anybody ever. But that's just not the case. We need other people, whether we like it or not. We need a partner in all this, whether we like it or not. Men need women and women need men, because all of the stuff that I talked about the, labor.
Okay, I looked her
about the labor shortages and all of that. If we were to flip the script and we were to eliminate women, the exact same thing would happen. Yeah, these other fields that we need so badly, yeah, they would be filled by men. But all the ones that the women are so much better at than men, those would go away completely too. We would see the exact same thing on both sides. Mm-hmm. And my point is, we need each other. And wherever you may be in your relationship, maybe it's great, maybe it's struggling, maybe you're seeking it. Don't necessarily believe what the world is telling you, because we badly need each other. We need the relationships. We need people to be able to lean on at some point in time. So I saw this when I was eating lunch this week, when I was just checking the news. I was like, this is one of the dumbest, most idiotic statements I think I've ever heard, that men are useless. Men and women are both not useless, and we need each other badly. Any final thoughts before we go? Because we got to go.
Joy's on her second husband.
Okay.
No wonder she's mad. She don't like men. You didn't do it right the first time. Why'd you get another one?
I mean, hey, there's always opportunity for a second chance. I think, again, this is mostly for clicks and for entertainment purposes.
And she's 81.
But there are a lot of people who will truly believe this, and that's disheartening, to say the least.
I mean, I guess, respect your elders.
I don't know. Final thoughts, baby?
Whoever her plastic surgeon is, does a great job.
Oh, she looks amazing for 80-something years old.
81.
All right. Well,
that's all I got for you.
I
never knew what she looked like.
We got to go.
Good for you, Joy.
Listen, men and women, you are not useless. We badly need each other. God, we love you. We are so thankful for what you do. We are thankful that you created relationship, because we so badly need them. And our prayer is for anyone who ever hears this, to seek the most important relationship with you, because you are the one who we need to be focused on, lay our foundation for everything we do on, and God, just be able to bring the relationships that we need in our lives that are going to make us better and point ourselves towards you, to be able to find the fulfillment and the joy that we need in our lives. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Play ball. I like to talk sports, Joy.
Bam.